If you want to move more, be more active, save on gas, and look really cool, you need to check out this review. So this is my first product review on this channel, and full disclosure, Vanpowers sent me this bike for free, and I'm going to give you a honest review with the pros and the cons about this bike. Now, I'm not a biker, so I was kind of surprised when they reached out and emailed me asking me to do a review on their bike. This isn't a paid sponsorship or anything, but in no way am I obligated to say only good things about it. I'm gonna give you the good, the bad, the ugly, the things I like about it, the things I don't. So right up front, it's a pretty solid bike. You can get it in two configurations, either mostly assembled, basically the frame's all put together, handlebars, you just gotta sit the handlebars in, put the tires on, and you're good to go. It's a little bit of extra money up front, but the way I got it, it was completely disassembled. So the frame comes in a few parts. You have the battery pack, which is right here. You have the corner part of the frame, the top part of the frame, this back corner, this little guy, and this little guy. So basically you piece all these parts together with an Allen wrench, you tighten them down, cinch them down, make sure they're all married up really well. Assembly wasn't that difficult. I'm not even a mechanically minded person. I don't know much about bikes, but I was able to put it together in 3 to 4 hours of work spread out over 2 days. The nice thing about the assembly is the instructions are super easy to follow, and if you can't follow the instructions, they have videos on their website. All the parts are very clearly marked and very easy to locate within the box. They send you every single tool that you're gonna need, so if you don't have any tools whatsoever, you can still assemble this bike. Overall, I'd say assembly is a big pro, because I feel very accomplished having built my own bike, essentially. One of the other unique things about this bike is it's an e-bike. It doesn't look it. You don't see any big battery packs sitting outside the bike or attached to the back or anything, but the battery pack is built into the frame right here. And it has a 350 watt motor on the back wheel. So as you pedal, it's a pedal assist and it gives you a little bit of an extra boost. Another thing I really like about it is instead of a chain, it has a belt drive. It's a single speed, so there's only one gear, there's no switching gears, and it doesn't require any maintenance. You don't have to oil it, it's not gonna pop off of there, not gonna rust. Really nice belt drive. Next thing I really like is the brakes. There's front and back brakes. They work very, very well. Disc brakes are very responsive. Works perfectly from the moment I first started riding it, which is a relief because I built it, and I had to line up the brake pads with the brake discs. And I was a little worried that I was gonna mess it up. One of the cons is the kickstand. Not necessarily the kickstand itself, but the way the bike balances itself when it's on the kickstand. If you have it perfectly balanced, it's good, you know, and it's in a garage or something, but any kind of wind, breeze, or a bump will cause the front wheel to spin one direction or the other, which will either knock your bike over or it'll spin it around out of the spot you have it in. I wish it was balanced a little better, where they had the ability to lock the front wheel in place once you have it balanced on that kickstand. Another con is there's no lights. It does come with reflectors that you can add, but it doesn't come with any lighting systems. So if you ride at night or you ride in dimly lit areas, it'd be good to go and just buy, I just got lights from like Walmart, throw them on there, and they're battery powered. You just charge them up and throw them on there. Not a huge deal, but it is a con that I would say it'd be nice for them to add that. Another con for me personally is the seat. Again, I'm not a bike enthusiast, I'm not a cyclist, so maybe I'm just sitting on this thing wrong, but I've been sitting most of my life, and no matter how I try to sit on this thing, it just isn't comfortable for me. So I'm thinking about getting a new seat, but until then I just put some like foam pads on there and like cinch them down usually when I'm riding, and it gives me a little extra cushion. It is a street bike, so there's no suspension. You feel everything. You feel every single bump on the road. And if you hop on and off curbs, you'll definitely feel it. So you just want to be mindful of that. So as far as operation, there's 3 buttons and a screen that's built into the handle. The screen is really, really well lit, easy to understand. It's very simple design. There's not a ton of different screens and menus you got to work through to operate this thing. There's an on and off button that you hold, push and hold to turn it on, push and hold to turn it off. There's an up and down arrow to bump between the different power levels. There's also a walk assist. So if you're trying to push this thing through a narrow area or through some rough terrain or up a hill, you can push and hold the walk assist button, and it puts the motor into low power, so it'll move the bike about 2 miles an hour while you're holding onto the handlebars. It's all very intuitive, very good visibility. Even in bright lights like today, I was out and about, I could see it just fine. The camera might not have picked up the screen very well, but I could see it myself just fine. It has an odometer, a trip reset, it has miles per hour, you can check your average miles per hour. All very, very simple and intuitive. That's what I love. I'm a minimalist, so the whole design of the entire bike is very minimalist, very sleek, They have all the wiring kind of hidden within the frame. It pops out where it needs to, goes to where it needs to, and everything else is clamped down to each other. So the wiring is very minimal. You can barely even tell this is an electric bike. Riding is super smooth. I really enjoy riding this thing. I find any excuse I can to ride around, to run to the store, go to the post office, just go for leisure rides and see how fast I can push it. Max speed I've gotten it to is about 23 miles per hour, and that's in level 5, which is boost mode. Pedaling, riding when you're on a smooth surface is awesome. It goes up hills really well. It's a joy to ride as long as the surface that you're riding on is smooth. Any bumps and stuff kind of gets uncomfortable. And another thing I was curious about when I first got the bike was, can I ride it if the battery dies? You can ride it if the battery dies. It's just a single speed, and it's a pretty large gear. It's a little difficult to push. You're not gonna go very fast, but you can still operate this thing if the battery dies. It's got a really tiny little charge port, and from what the website says, it can charge up in just a few hours from 0 to 100. And on a full charge, you can get about 50 miles of range on this thing. Obviously, the lower power modes will get you a little bit more distance just because the motor isn't pulling as much power, but you have 6 modes total. You have 0, which is no battery power, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And as you go up in the levels, 5 being the most motor power being utilized to pedal assist, you get more and more speed behind each pedal. It's very responsive. That's another pro I would say to add to that column. It's very responsive. It takes about a quarter turn of the pedals for the motor to kick in. Another pro is it's super quiet. Unless there's no other sounds going on around you, you really can barely hear the motor at all, and passersby probably can't hear it at all. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Vanpowers City Venture electric bike. Yeah, overall, I give this thing like a 9 out of 10. There's a few features that I'd like to see added. Highly recommend it to anybody who wants to save on some gas and doesn't have a long commute, stay a little more active.